Welcome everybody to Intensity Broadcasting. My name is Josh Hall. This is the original Rebels Racing League Grand National Series. This is the second race of the playoffs. I do apologize for the late start. Had a little technical difficulties on my end, which carried over right into the beginning of the broadcast. But we're getting ready to battle it out here at the Roval. Let's take a look at the playoff bracket coming into tonight. Of course, with his win last week, we do have one driver locked in. But you can see Eddie Smith, Jonathan Cofield, Michael Kosick, Jonah Colbert, Matt Kleeman, Dale Cunningham. All these drivers here trying to move on to the next round of the playoffs. And again, had a little technical difficulties on my end, but we are getting ready to go racing here tonight. And we'll have a unique style here with 3 stages. Qualifying is going to take place first. 3 stages. First stage will be 7 laps. The second stage will be 7 laps. And then the final stage will be 16 laps. We have our first drivers making their way out onto track. We see the 54 of Daniel Cunningham out on track. Of course, as always, we want to thank you for joining us here tonight, whether you're watching on Facebook, on YouTube, or on Twitch. It means a lot to us to spend your Friday night with us here. But it's playoff racing, baby. We're getting ready for the intensity to kick up here to see who's going to be able to make it on to the round of 8. See Cunningham coming through the last chicane before he comes onto the front stretch to start his lap here. And we know this infield section is awfully tricky. There's a lot of elevation changes, a couple off-camber corners, which makes it a lot of fun for these drivers, especially up here, up through 5, 6, and 7, completely blind corners. Through turn number 8 onto the NASCAR oval. Cunningham now starting his second lap, diving down into turn number 1. You see those big lumps there getting into the corners. Those are what we refer to as the turtles. And those curbs are very treacherous if you get on top of. You can do a lot of damage to your car. Down through this backstretch chicane. Down through the final chicane and across the line. And so far, Jonathan Cofield up at the top of the board. Cunningham coming across the stripe. And he's going to stay. Oh, he's going to jump up into that third position as we see Cofield coming through the backstretch chicane now. Charles Stevens Jr. just making his way through the backstretch chicane for the first time. Again, I apologize, trying to get everything still kind of set up on my side. Had some issues. Of course, Andy Kurtz not in the race here tonight. Did win last week, so he's locked into the next round. As we see we see Charles Stevens Jr. coming up down onto the backstretch and into the backstretch chicane. Makes his way through NASCAR 3 and 4. Heavy on the brakes for the front stretch chicane. Ooh, locks him up a little bit coming into the corner. Catches a lot of the turtle on exit. Come across the stripe. And he will stay up in the 6th position. We see Tyler Rice coming through the infield section. Getting squirrely there. Come up through turns 3, 4. Sorry, this is 5, 6, and 7. Coming to turn 8 to go back onto the NASCAR oval. In through the backstretch chicane. This looks like the last driver who will be coming out onto the track to make their qualifying time. Down across the stripe, and Tyler Rice is going to stay currently in the 9th position. So far, it doesn't look like any other cars are making their way out on track right now. So we want to thank everybody for joining us here tonight again. Don't forget to hit that like button, follow, and subscribe. Hit that little notification bell so you know anytime we go live here on Intensity Broadcasting. Don't forget to check out our great sponsors that help out with this series, including Kinder Farm and Ranch, Cofield Asphalt Refinishing, Dark Horse Motorsports, Chuck Pegleg Felts, JC Race Graphics, and the Rebels Racing Network. Of course, we want to thank our great partners here at Intensity as well. Don't forget to check out our web store at intensitybroadcasting.com. For setups and coaching, you can check out raceepi.com. And of course, we can't forget about our great partner, the Butt Kicker. Of course, Butt Kicker is an established and well-trusted leader in gaming haptics. The award-winning line of Butt Kicker haptics lets users feel ultra-low frequency sounds. Their products are used and endorsed around the world by leading PC and console gamers, including professional sim racers. The patented design makes them incredibly accurate, powerful, and virtually indestructible. The Gamer Plus is a new and upgraded sim racing haptic that reproduces immersive, accurate, and powerful sim racing, flight sim, and gaming effects. To check out the full line of Butt Kicker products and figure out which one's right for you, visit thebuttkicker.com. And not just do they have haptics for your computer and your gaming, but they also have little subwoofers you can put in your couch so you can feel music and movies, as well as for the racing side of thing. And a track here like the Roval, you'd be able to feel the rumple strips, be able to feel those turtles every shift. Every time you lock up the brakes or get a little loose, tires break traction, you feel each and every bit of it. So to get that little extra edge, check out thebuttkicker.com. Qualifying has completed. Let's take a look at our starting grid. And your Peg Leg Pole Award winner will be the 58 of Jonathan Cofield, with Mike Kosick rolling off from P number 2. Daniel Cunningham and Jonah Colbert roll off in row 2, with Eddie Smith and Charles Stevens Jr. back in row number 3. Brandon Wallace and Gavin Otarski, I'm sorry if I say that wrong, round out row number 4 with Tyler Rice and Jason Lottridge back in row 5. Matt Kleeman, he'll roll off 11th with Matt Knights to his outside in 12th. 13th will be Brandon Pollock and Aaron Adcock, with Ray Page, Steve McDonald, and Mickey Isaac rounding out the rest of the field here at the Roval. Again, this is the second round of the playoffs. So a lot of playoff implications on the line. Bonus points for the stages. We do have 3 stages tonight. First stage will end on lap number 7. Second stage will end on lap number 14, and then we'll have a 16-lap shootout to the end of the race. As the field gets gridded up here on the front stretch, don't forget to join us on Sunday night for our truck doubleheader. I take that back. 3 stages tonight, 7 laps for the first stage, 7 laps for the second stage, 14 laps for the third stage. I thought it was 16, it's 14. The top 8 will get bonus points, and they will be done in the heat formation, so make it nice and easy for everybody to get woed down and set up for the second stage, as the cars are now rolling out onto the racetrack for their pace lap. Of course, this weekend, the trucks will have their doubleheader at Chicagoland for their second race of the playoffs. So tune in Sunday night starting at 8 p.m. Eastern as our truck doubleheader goes live here on Intensity Broadcasting. Field working their way through this tricky infield section. As I mentioned, a lot of elevation changes through the infield section, so watch for these drivers to really struggle through there. A couple turns are actually off camber, which makes it very difficult to get the power down. So watch for that here tonight. Couple really good passing zones here as well, going into the chicanes, down into turn number 1. Those would be your best passing opportunities as the entire field kind of stops to go through the miss the chicane completely. I think they're going to do the same thing on the front stretch, which will make it easier for the start. So here they go, coming down to the front stretch chicane. Yeah, they're going to miss the chicane completely. So going into turn 1 for the first time, it'll be the fastest these cars will travel all night long into turn number 1, side by side. Cofield has the advantage down into turn number 1. And he will come out with the lead as they make their way down into turn number 2, side by side. Kosick going to take that inside lane away, and he's going to take over the lead away from Jonathan Cofield. Now you see at the top of the screen the drivers that are highlighted in blue. They are your playoff drivers. As Kosick makes his way up onto the banking for the first time. And coming down, Kosick will lead the first lap here in this first stage. Just realized I made the playoff colors just a little bit too dark, so I just went through and fixed those. So you can see all your playoff drivers in bright blue up on the ticker. As Eddie Smith has already gotten a lap down, starting the race from pit road and going a lap down on the initial start. So he currently runs back in the 15th position. Up front, Kosick. As Tyler Rice has some issues, he's stuffed it down into the tires. This looks like this is down in turn number 8. Let's take a look to see what happened to Tyler Rice here as he makes his way up through turns 6 and 7 and just loses it getting on the gas coming up to turn number 8. Fortunately for him, able to keep it off the tire barrier, so he's able to continue on with no issues. And it looks like some issues for Brandon Wallace. Down into the backstretch chicane. Brandon Pollock all over the back bumper. And gets a little bit of wheel hop down into the corner. So Wallace loops it around and he's going to get back going in the right direction. As Mike Kosick continues to lead over Jonathan Cofield by just over almost 2 seconds. And Jonah Colbert makes his way down through the backstretch chicane. Looks like we got a little battle heating up here. We got 3 drivers Charles Stevens Jr., Daniel Cunningham, and Gavin Otarski. Cunningham trying to get to the back bumper of Charles Stevens Jr., see if he can make his way around the 88 machine. We have just 4 laps left here in this stage as Odes Jr. caught the wall just a little bit. That's going to allow Cunningham to go move right on by and into that 4th position. Eddie Smith trying to make his way through the field. I take that back. Eddie was not a lap down. He was just showing a lap down on my screen. But he is not a lap down. Currently running back in the 11th position, trying to get around the 68 of Steve McDonald as they work through this tricky infield section up the hill and into the blind turn number 6. And again, even though it's the infield section of the oval here, there is a lot of elevation changes as Smith is able to sneak right on through the inside and move himself up into the top 10. Ooh, Charles Stevens Jr. did have Gavin Otarski right there on the back bumper. Oh, Gavin having some issues. He's spun around up in turns 3 and 4. Again, no resets here in this series, so he's trying to get that thing refired. And even though there's no resets between races, they will be able to get a new car. So any damage that happens here in this race will not carry over to the next stage. We see Eddie Smith running down Aaron Adcock, trying to take over that 8th position. Oh, Eddie Smith gets a little locked up there. But able to keep the speed up to move his way around Aaron Adcock and move Eddie Smith up into the 8th position. He continues to make his way through the field. Back up front with just 2 laps to go here in this stage. Mike Kosick leads Jonathan Cofield by about 2.5 seconds. That's almost 7 seconds back to 3rd place, Jonah Colbert. Daniel Cunningham runs back in the 4th position. Charles Stevens Jr. back in 5th, and Jr. has Brandon Pollock all over the back bumper, trying to take that 5th position away. Don't forget the top 8 in standings here in this heat will receive bonus points. As Kosick is coming across through that front stretch of chicane for the final time. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go in the first stage. Brandon Pollock putting on the heat now, running down the 88 of Charles Stevens Jr. Jr. locked him up a little bit going down into turn number 1, and now Pollock is right there on the back bumper, and Jason Lottridge is not too far behind either. as they come up the hill through turns 5 and 6, down through turn 7. And turn 8 is another place where you can't really pass, but you can set up a pass down into the chicane. Is Pollock close enough to make that happen as Mike Kosick comes off of turn number 4? And down into the chicane for the final time, and Mike Kosick is going to win the first stage. Jonathan Cofield's going to come home in second. And, Charles Stevens Jr. missed the chicane. That allowed Brandon Pollock and Jason Lottridge to get on through. And Eddie Smith trying to take over that 7th position as they come down into the front stretch chicane. And Jr. able to hold off Eddie Smith to hold on to that 7th position. And Eddie Smith will get that final stage point. But Mike Kosick gets the win here in stage number 1 as the rest of the field tries to make their way around. See how Tarski coming across the line. Matt Kleeman making his way across the line, and Matt Knights rounds out the field here. So here's the results for the first stage. Mike Kosick, Jonathan Cofield, Jonah Colbert, Daniel Cunningham, Brandon Pollock, your top 5. Charles Stevens Jr. comes home. Jason Lottridge comes home in 6th. Charles Stevens Jr. in 7th. And Eddie Smith gets that final stage point in 8th. 9th was Aaron Adcock, Steve McDonald in 10th. Brandon Wallace, Tyler Rice, Gavin Otarski, Matt Kleeman, Matt Knights, Ray Page, and Mickey Isaac, who I believe were both doing race control. So Matt Knights would be the final car in the field. As we get ready to line them up for stage number 2. Of course, with this being a road course, not going to have any yellow flags, so we'd like to throw out our Wreckage Rewind sponsor, Kinder Farm and Ranch, for continuing to be the sponsor of the Wreckage Rewind here in the Rebels Racing League. As the field makes their way around on the pace lap for stage number 2. And Mike Kosick kind of dominated the first stage here. We'll see if that continues. Of course, the overall winner will get the ticket punched into the next round automatically. Next week, tune in here for the final round of the round of 13, which will take place at Dover International Speedway. So next week, the Monster Mile will claim victim to 5 drivers as we prepare to then go to Atlanta, Richmond, and Darlington. Then we'll cut down to 4 for our final race at Homestead. So here we go, the field making their way off of turn number 4 on the NASCAR oval down to the front stretch chicane. Again, we'll see the drivers go right through the chicane here, catching all those cones to come to the green flag, which is now in the air. And Kosick get another good jump down into turn number 1. This time there's no battle side by side with Cofield, as everybody is on fresh tires yet again. We see Brandon Pollock looking down to the inside of Jason Lottridge as they make their way down into turns 3 and 4. And Eddie Smith making a move down underneath the 4 machine. So move Eddie Smith up into the 6th position. Already making some moves through the field. So he comes down through turns 7 and 8. And back onto the NASCAR oval. How about we take a little ride with Eddie here so we can see exactly how tough it is to get around this Roval here at Charlotte. You see the hands working inside that car. Heavy on the brakes down into the front stretch chicane. Being mindful of those turtles. You can use a little bit of them to help turn the car, but you don't want to hit too much of them because that can really do some damage. See Eddie really working the wheel, working the throttle, working the brakes. Down through turn number 2, up to turns 3 and 4, both right-handers. Kind of like a double apex right here. Start coming up the hill. To turn number 5, 6, and 7, which is completely blind as you come up the hill through 5 over to 6 and down the hill of 7. You can't see anything coming down to turn number 7. And turn 8 back onto the NASCAR oval. Turns 9 and 10, which are turns 1 and 2 on the NASCAR oval. And then heavy braking yet again down into the backstretch chicane. Oh, Jason Lottridge locks him up, loses control. Loses a ton of positions as Tyler Rice tries to get by. Ooh, something happened to... that's the 36 of Otarski. I didn't see what happened to Otarski to get all that damage on his car. Let's see if we can see what happened to Lottridge here. Just a little bit of wheel hop, locks the rear brakes up. Able to get that thing slowed down and around. Trying to see what happened to the 36 of Otarski. As we see the front of that car is in good shape, but I don't know if he caught somebody going down into turn number 1. We saw heavy damage on the front of that car. No damage here. Heavy usage of the turtles there. Down into turn number 1, and I'm not really sure what knocked the front end off that 36, but right now we can see that car has no front end as he's really struggling for grip coming down into turn number 1. Daniel Cunningham has Eddie Smith running him down right now. So Smith, who started from the pits in the first race, now worked himself up into the top 5. And trying to run down the 54 of Daniel Cunningham to take over that 4th position. Up front, we've got Mike Kosick with just over a 1 second lead over Jonathan Cofield. And you got to go all the way back 5.5 seconds to find 3rd place, Jonah Cobert. Jason Lottridge trying to work down to the inside. Charles Sims Jr. really locked up the brakes down into turn number 1. Lottridge able to take that position away as Cunningham now has Eddie Smith right there on the back bumper as Smith is trying to take over that 4th position. Oh, look at Eddie really get a launch down through turn number 8. Able to make that move stick, and he's going to take over the 4th position. So move Eddie Smith up to the 4th as he's going to try to run down his teammate Jonah Cobert, who runs back in the 3rd position, about 2.5 seconds in front of Eddie. Brandon Wallace trying to work around the 88 of Charles Stevens Jr. A little bit of draft in here through turns 3 and 4 on the NASCAR oval down to the front stretch chicane. Stevens, though, being very defensive here. That really washes up that 99 of Brandon Wallace. Brandon's going to have to regroup and try to run down Charles Stevens yet again. See Brandon Pollock in that 4 car. He's trying to run down the 54 of Daniel Cunningham as they make their way down back onto the NASCAR oval. And down the back stretch. You see Pollock using just the right amount of those turtles. Not too much that it upsets the car, launches it up in the air, but just enough to get that car rotating nicely as he continues to try to run down Daniel Cunningham as Mike Kosick is now taking the white flag in stage number 2. Kosick going to come up the hill through turns 5 and 6. Down into turn 7 towards turn number 8 to get back up onto the NASCAR oval. And through the backstretch chicane for the final time. Down through NASCAR 3 and 4 and down to the front stretch chicane. And Jonathan Cofield is going to sweep the first two stages here tonight. So he comes across to collect the white checkered flag. Jonathan Cofield comes home P2. Jonah Colbert coming across the line in position number 3. Eddie Smith comes home 4th. Daniel Cunningham and Brandon Pollock 5th and 6th. Aaron Adcock comes through the final chicane with Jason Lottridge. Charles Stevens Jr., Brandon Wallace right there. Gavin Otarski with a lot of damage comes across the line. Tyler Rice, Steve McDonald. There's Matt Kleeman to the stripe. And finally, Matt Knights making his way through NASCAR 3 and 4. And Knights is going to come across the line in the final 15th position. So there are the results from stage 2. And Mike Kosa getting the win over Jonathan Cofield, Jonah Colbert, Eddie Smith, Daniel Cunningham, Brandon Pollock, Aaron Adcock, Jason Lottridge, Charles Stevens Jr., Brandon Wallace, your top 10. Gavin Otarski in 11th. Tyler Rice, Steve McDonald, Matt Kleeman, and Matt Knights. Round out stage number 2 as we get ready to do it all over again. This time, it'll be for 14 laps. So as the field lines up here on the front stretch, we get ready to take our final pace lap around the Roval to set up our 14-lap final stage. Of course, we want to thank all of the great partners once again that make this league possible, including Kinder Farm and Ranch, Cofield Asphalt Refinishing, Dark Horse Motorsports, Chuck Peg Leg Felts, JC Grace Graphics, and the Rebels Racing Network, as well as our great partners over at raceepi.com, intensitybroadcasting.com, and of course, our good friends over at Butt Kicker. So if you're looking for that little extra edge, that little seat of the pants feel without having a motion rig, check out thebuttkicker.com for your full line of gaming haptics. Yeah, not just do they have gaming haptics, but they got subwoofers that you can put in your couch or around your couch to really give some immersion to movies and music as well. So check that out at thebuttkicker.com. So through the backstretch chicane for the final time on the pace lap. Again, 14 laps in this final stage. Can anybody knock Kosick off that top spot? Can Eddie Smith run him down starting last on the field, trying to get himself a win here to lock him into the round of 8? Green flag is in the air. We're here in the final stage as they come down into turn number 1. Kosick out into the lead. Jonah Colbert, Eddie Smith side by side. Colbert's going to have that advantage down into turn number 2. Smith trying to work that high lane. He's going to tuck in behind. Just behind we see Jason Lottridge. Oh, making contact. Lottridge goes around. Made some contact with Daniel Cunningham, able to loop it around and get back going in the right direction. Let's see if we can see exactly what happened here as we see Lottridge almost made it 3 wide and just, pushes in just a little too hard. That car gets looped right around. More issues for Jason Lottridge as he's just spun it back around and got it back going in the right direction. We see a little battle right here. That's Otarski, Wallace, and Tyler Rice. Just in front, Charles Stevens Jr., Daniel Cunningham side by side. As Jr. is going to take that high lane to take over that 7th position as they come down into the front stretch chicane. How about this? Mike Kosick not pulling away too much from Jonathan Cofield. And Eddie Smith falling back a little bit from Jonah Colbert. Currently sits in the 4th position, has Brandon Pollock right behind. They come up through turn number 8. And Eddie, really the only driver I see using that really low lane, trying to sneak through on the bottom. Down into the final chicane. I'm sure we'll see a little different driving style here. The first 2 stages were very short, 7 laps. This stage, twice as long. And it is 16 laps. I don't know why they told me 14, but 16 laps here in the final stage. Drivers are going to have to try to save their tires a little bit. Cofield, though, this time staying right there with Mike Kosick. Back here's a battle for 7th. Daniel Cunningham has that 7th position. Gavin Otarski wants it. They make their way up. Otarski's been really, really loose. It looks like we had some issues here with Charles Stevens Jr. up on the front stretch here, coming down into turn number 1. Oh, just looks like he just locked up the brakes there. Ooh, Tyler Rice was really loose coming there through turn number 1. But Jr. locks up the brakes there, catches that outside wall, and not a lot of damage, though, able to continue on. As Aaron Adcock tries to pull away from the 54 of Daniel Cunningham. Adcock is the first driver in the field or in position who is not in the playoffs. Trying to play a bit of a spoiler here, trying to take some of those playoff points away from the other drivers. Charles Stevens Jr. trying to run down Steve McDonald down into turn number 4. As they come through turn number 5. He's going to have his... Stevens tries to cross him back over. Oh, Jason Lottridge stuffs it into the inside wall here in the infield. Coming up to turn number 6. And Matt Knight's having some issues going off track here in the back of the field. That's 6 of Tyler Rice running down Brandon Wallace. They are now side by side off the chicane and in the NASCAR 3 and 4. Will Rice be able to outbrake Wallace down into the chicane as they come side by side? Wallace is going to have the advantage here, and Rice is going to have to try to set that pass up all over again. Matt Klima was just running down Jason Lottridge after Lottridge had his issues, and now Eddie Smith has caught Jonah Cobert trying to take over the 3rd position. So Eddie Smith, after starting from pit road, now finds himself battling with Jonah Cobert for that final podium spot. Up front, Mike Kosick with just a 1.5 seconds advantage over Jonathan Cofield. And Eddie Smith getting a little loose there off of the front stretch chicane. Still trying to run down Jonah Cobert. Daniel Cunningham running down Aaron Adcock as they make their way through turns 3 and 4. I was muted. Thank you, Kinder. I appreciate it. Actually sneezed and forgot to turn my microphone back on. So I do apologize. I've been calling the race to myself here as we saw the incident there with Charles Stevens Jr. and Brandon Wallace. And Steve McDonald trying to take advantage as well as all these positions here. Each position is a point. Eddie Smith has moved himself up into third position. We saw the pass that he made down in turn number 8. And he is the only driver I've seen that's been able to get that low through turn number 8 to get those positions made, as he's got 8 seconds in front of him to run down second place, Jonathan Cofield. So Cofield is currently 2 seconds behind our leader, Mike Kosick. And Kosick just pulling away here, putting on a clinic here at this road course. Just 8 laps to go. He's led just about every lap since the drop of the green flag. Actually, I believe he has led every lap since the drop of the green flag. He qualified on the outside pole, had the advantage down in turn number 2 on the first lap, and he has not looked back since the drop of the green. See Steve McDonald still, having some issues running through the AstroTurf there. That's going to allow Brandon Wallace to move right around that 68 machine. We see the damage to the front of that 99. All these drivers towards the rear of the field having some damage on their cars, having some issues getting around here tonight. As Jonah Cobert's trying to run Eddie Smith back down, the interval is now dropped back down to under a second. And Steve McDonald trying to run down Brandon Wallace through this tough infield section. Ooh, a lot of turtles for the 87 of Smith. Jonah Colbert keeps sneaking just a little bit closer and closer as Matt Knight's had some issues here. Take a look to see what happened to the driver of the 64. Down into turn number 1. Oh, just loops it around in turn 1. Able to spin it back around and get it going back in the right direction. As we see Kosick getting around the 64 Matt Knights. And Cofield now right there has cut the lead back down to under a second. Jason Lottridge trying to run down Steve McDonald. Another one of our playoff drivers trying to get down, get an extra point here. As Brandon Wallace looked like he had no brakes for a second. May have switched over to that Lottridge brake pedal. Really drove it in hard. Able to avoid the drivers coming through that chicane, and we'll see if he's able to get slowed down for the front stretch chicane, and he is, as Lottridge now on the back bumper of Steve McDonald. These three have been going at it. Oh, Wallace hard into the wall on turn 1. Down into the Tums Heartburn turn. We saw Wallace having some braking issues. Looks like the same thing just happened here. Just missed his braking zone completely, locks up the brakes. It goes hard into that inside tire barrier. And then tries to get it looped back around and catches the wall again. And now some issues for Aaron Adcock. Down into the backstretch chicane and just completely misses the chicane. Jumps the turtles just a little bit. We see Junior. Sorry, that wasn't Junior. That was Gavin Otarski. Aaron Adcock getting through there as well. More trouble here. Tyler Rice having some issues. Oh, through turn number 7. Just gets off track. Jason Lottridge up or into the grass there off of turn number 4. Let's see what happened to Tyler Rice here. Tyler Rice having some more issues with off tracks. We see Brandon Wallace on pit road. Mike Kosick, though, with a 1.4 second lead over second place Jonathan Cofield. Then you got to go 11 and a half seconds back to find third place Eddie Smith. Jason Lottridge trying to make a move here on the inside. Steve McDonald into turn number 7. He is going to clear McDonald. Cody Moore is not in this race, Derek Chaput. Couple drivers who are in the playoffs are not in this race here tonight. We saw Andy Kurtz not here tonight. Greg Froelich, who races, he's in the Outlaw playoffs. I take that back. So just Kurtz, the only driver not to make the playoff race here tonight. And Kosick now has Cofield right there on the back bumper. He's cut the interval down to half a second with just 4 laps to go. So Cofield trying to do something here in the closing laps to steal the win away. From Mike Kosick, who has dominated this race since the beginning. Oh, Cofield catches too much of the turtles. That's going to take a ton of time. That half-second lead has just grown to 2.5 seconds with that mistake from Jonathan Cofield. Jonah Colbert trying to run down Eddie Smith to retake that third position, but Eddie showing a lot of speed here in the closing laps as we have just 3 laps to go here at the Roval. Ooh, Charles Stevens Jr. has some issues there through the backstretch chicane. Looks like he might have hit the wall. Take a look to see what happened to the driver of the 88. Yep, just a little too much turtle there and smacks that wall. Matt Knight's having some more issues on track. Down into turn number 1. Same thing we saw with Brandon Wallace earlier, just a little too much rear brake, loops it around. Cofield, though, still trying to run down Kosick. What was a 2.5 second lead is now under 2 seconds. As Kosick's coming across the line to take 2 laps to go. Jason Lottridge running down Charles Stevens Jr. This is a battle for 10th. As Lottridge is able to get up to the back bumper through the infield section, but once they get back onto the NASCAR oval, We see Stevens have a little bit more speed as Lottridge trying to use that high lane to get some momentum. And now Lottridge right there on the back bumper. Looking down to the inside into turn number 1. Oh, almost locks up and loses it, but able to hold on to it. He's going to take over that 10th position. So move Jason Lottridge up into the 10th position with just 2 laps to go. Kosick coming through turns 3 and 4. Down to the front stretch chicane, and Cofield is right there on the back bumper as well as we are taking the white flag. 1 lap to go. Does Cofield have anything for Kosick down into turn number 1? This is where these two drivers are pretty even through the infield section. Cofield kind of just biding his time here as he's staying right there on the back bumper. Down into turn number 8 and back on to the NASCAR oval. Now this is where Cofield showed a lot of speed down into this chicane on the backstretch. Can he try to outbrake Kosick into the chicane here? He's going to be right there on the back bumper as they come off of the chicane through NASCAR 3 and 4. Is Cofield going to try to pull a last-ditch effort here into the final chicane? Kosick down into the final chicane for the final time. Cofield is there, but not close enough as Mike Kosick is going to get the win here at the Roval. Cofield going to come home second. Eddie Smith coming through the final chicanes, and he's going to bring it home in P number 3. Jonah Kober in P4, and Brandon Pollock through the chicane for the final time to come home in P5. See Daniel Cunningham through the final turn, brings it home in 6. Gavin Otarski, much better luck on this run, comes home in 7th. Tyler Rice just making his way through the final chicane to come home in 8th. Let's take a look to see what happened to Aaron Adcock here, as Adcock had some issues. Oh, just too much curbing there. Loops it around. Able to get it back going. And Jason Lottridge is upside down. Steve McDonald just comes across the line. And finally, we have Matt Kleeman coming through turns 3 and 4 for the final time. Start Money Motorsports says I should have raced this to give you some more highlights. So our final results here tonight. Mike Kosick gets the win. Jonathan Cofield comes home P2. Eddie Smith in 3rd. Jonah Kober comes home 4th. And Brandon Pollock in 5th. 6th was Daniel Cunningham. Gavin Otarski in 7th. Tyler Rice, Aaron Adcock, and Jason Lottridge round out your top 10. Charles Stevens Jr. Hill bringing home 11th. Steve McDonald in 12th. Matt Kleeman and Matt Knights 13th, 14th, and Brandon Wallace rounds out the field in 15th. As we get ready to talk to our top 3. Starting with our 3rd place finisher, Eddie Smith. Eddie, you got Josh up in the booth. Got me?
Hey, Josh.
Man, interesting strategy tonight. First race, you started from the pits, drove yourself up to 7th. Second race, drove yourself up to the top 5, and finally the final stage, you drove yourself into the top 3. Was that kind of a strategy on your part to start from the pits just to try to see if you could stay out of some trouble, or what was the thought process behind that?
Well, I didn't practice any, so I figured I was a danger to everybody until I got kind of my sea legs under me, and so I just wanted to start from the pits because I didn't know everybody was saying it was loose and stuff. So I wanted to start from the pits and just kind of get acclimated, follow some fast guys, see what they were doing, and try to pick up on it. And really wasn't planning on running much of this race, but started having fun and got up there and battled with Jonah. Man, it was a blast. So
Yeah, we rode along with you at one point. We saw just how much you were working the wheel in there. Set looked really, really loose, but we know that's a lot of fun. What was the conditions like inside that car there tonight?
yeah, super loose on throttle. You really couldn't press the throttle much at all. But at the same time, out of the chicanes, it had a really good drive off. So it was a weird setup where in the middle section, you really had to just kind of roll every corner and just roll on throttle, half throttle, not really give it the full business. But when you get back out on the track and coming out of the chicanes, you could pretty much floor it. So odd setup, but I mean that was a lot of fun, right? Being able to race like that, and not be spinning out of the chicanes and stuff. So the conditions pretty scary in the infield, but outside of that, it was actually pretty dang good.
Yeah, it looked like you made all your time up off of turn number 8 onto the NASCAR oval and through the NASCAR section of track. So great job here tonight, coming home P3. Before we let you go, anyone want to thank any shots you got to give here tonight, Eddie?
Yeah, shout out to JC Motorsports, Jonah, following him, kind of seeing what he was doing and trying to pick up some stuff. I mean, me and him really have a lot of fun battling on ovals and road courses. So, like I said, I really wasn't planning on running this race. I don't like just running around by myself. Most road courses, you end up 6 seconds ahead, 6 seconds behind, and so be able to race him for that last stage was a lot of fun. So shout out to him, shout out to everybody else on the team, and shout out to Caustic and Cofield. They definitely had it going on. Definitely the ones to beat at road courses. And thank you for broadcast.
Awesome, man. And good luck next week at Dover. I know that's going to be an exciting race for sure. How do you like your chances at Dover? It's Monster Mile.
I feel really good at Dover. I'm gonna have a blast. I'm gonna show up for every bit of that one.
Awesome, man. Well, again, good luck next week, and I'm sure we'll talk to you soon.
All right, see you, man.
Have a good night. So that was your third place finisher, Eddie Smith. Let's bring in your second place finisher, Jonathan Cofield. Jonathan, you got Josh up in the booth. You got me?
Hey, Josh.
Man, great run for you here tonight, coming home P2. Looked like you were running Kosick down right there at the end, but just didn't have enough for him. We saw you were right there on the back bumper with about 5 to go. Caught the turtles through that final chicane, really upset the car and lost a ton of time. Do you think that was the difference maker in the way the race ended there?
Yeah, just trying to run consistent laps. Kind of hard to do at a road course. I could catch him a little bit, and then I'd fall back about 1.8, and then I'd run him back down to a half a second. Right there toward the end, he was telling me his car wasn't quite acting right. He felt like he'd burnt the front tires up. So, fun finish at the end. I had a blast.
For sure. Eddie Smith said the track or the setup was really, really loose there, and but it was really good on drive off, which was kind of strange. Were you having the same thing, and were you just kind of nursing the throttle, trying to keep the car from spinning out on you when you're trying to get off the corners?
Oh yeah, all the way around the track. Turn 1 and 2 was my hardest part, going up that hill and then unloading the car. I never could get the power down like Caustic was, but the infield, I was doing pretty good. I think I was outrunning him into the chicanes a little bit, running in deeper and braking a little harder. But two different styles of driving. I told him I was shifting down to first in the chicane. He wasn't. So just damn fun race.
Awesome, man. Well, good luck next week at Dover. How you like your chances at the Monster Mile next week?
No, I love Dover. I hope it's as good as this one.
Awesome, man. Well, before we let you go, anyone want to thank any shots you got to give here tonight?
Oh yeah, you up in the booth for broadcasting, always doing an awesome job. Cofield Asphalt Refinishing, Kinder Farm and Ranch, Chuck Pegleg Phelps, Jonah for putting this league on. all my teammates at Bandits Motorsports.
Awesome, man. Well, again, congrats on the podium, and I'm sure we'll talk to you again soon.
Yes, sir. Hope so.
Have a great night. So that was your second place finisher, Jonathan Cofield. Let's bring in your winner here tonight, Mike Kosick. Mike, you got Josh up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Man, great run here tonight. Dominating fashion from start to finish. Started second, able to get around Cofield on that first turn and never looked back. At the end there, he was running you down a little bit. He said you burnt off the rear tires a little bit, or what was the car handling like there at the end? And do you think he would have got you if you had a couple more laps?
I don't think I burnt the rear tires off as much as I think I just overheated the fronts. I was having trouble turning into the corners. Honestly, more time he definitely would have got me. I think he could have got me there. I tried telling him he showed me some mercy, but he said he didn't. So I don't know. We'll just argue about that.
Yeah, at one point he was right there on your back bumper, caught the turtles on the front stretch chicane and lost a ton of time, but able to drive it back. So I think you're right. If there was a couple more laps, it would have been interesting for sure. But man, really dominating the road courses this season in the Rebels. But we move on to Dover next week. How do you like your chances at that oval, Monster Mile oval there?
I like Dover. It either goes really good or really bad for me. So luckily, there's kind of no stress on it since I'm moving on to the next round. So we'll just go in there and have fun.
That was going to be my next question. With that mindset that you're already locked in, does that change the way you drive the next race?
Yeah, it's just a little more relaxed. Just have fun. A little more give and take.
Awesome, man. Well, congratulations on the win here tonight. Well deserved. And again, dominating fashion. Really pulling away on those first two stints, but able to bring it home here tonight. Before we let you go, anyone you want to thank, any shots you got to give here tonight?
Yeah, thank you guys at Intensity for doing the broadcast. Jonah and Daniel for all the fun they make us have in the series. And teammates at Bandits.
Awesome, man. And I know in the playoffs on Sunday night as well. So good luck on Sunday night. And we look forward to talking to you again soon.
All right, thanks.
Have a great night.
You too.
So that was your winner here tonight, Mike Kosick. In dominating fashion, really just showing what he could do here on these road courses. He's done it all season long on the road courses and really showing again tonight. We're going to give out the Cofield Tough Luck Award here tonight, and I'm going to have to give that Cofield Tough Luck Award to the 99 of Brandon Wallace, one of our playoff drivers. Has some issues here. Stuffing it down into the wall in turn number 1. Gets it refired. And then loops it around again, unfortunately ending his night here at the Roval. And not the points night that he was hoping to have here. So a tough break for Brandon Wallace. Gets the Cofield Asphalt Refinishing Tough Luck Award. But we get ready to move on to Dover next week. Again, we want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, whether you're watching on Facebook, on YouTube, or on Twitch. Don't forget to hit that like button, follow, and subscribe. Hit that little notification bell so you know anytime we go live here on Intensity Broadcasting. Again, congratulations to Mike Kosick. Don't forget to check out our affiliate links down below. Don't forget to support all of our great sponsors here in the original Rubles Racing League. And, of course, as our boy Atlee Atman Weiss would say, over